as every league seems to have different, every country seems to have different levels of chaos about when are we coming back, how are we coming back. Germany, and I know they're kind of playing the stereotypes, they seem to have very clear plans. Seifert seems very, very confident. You know, he's saying May 6th or May 9th or May 16th, and we'll do this. It'll be kind of closed doors. There will be 240 people at every game. He's counted them. What do you make of this? Is this, I guess it's a normal German characteristic, right? I mean, I speak to you as a guy who's a foreigner in Germany, but has lived there a long time or spent a lot of time there.
Well, it's an interesting question. It's an interesting topic, and the last week I've talked with a lot of the key figures in German football. But remember, when we are having all these discussions when football going to start, there are two parties that are not on the table. That's the government and the virus. And I think that we don't know the virus yet, but I think it also that the Germans have been good at defining the German Bundesliga as a big part of the society. There are 56,000 people who are employed directly or indirectly to football. Well, I went to the PSG Dortmund game. I was one of the few journalists who did that game. We saw inside there were 400 or 500 people who were involved in the game. Even if it was closed doors, there were 5,000 people outside. And you have to ask yourself, what will happen to all these people if Dortmund and Schalke will play at closed doors? These 80,000 Dortmund fans, where will they be? Where will they stay? On one hand, it's good for the society because where we know when football starts rolling again, I could say sport, but we're talking about the biggest now, football. People got something else to talk about. I think that we're going into a stage now when the people of the world need to have some hope that someday we will have a brighter time. So maybe football will be a symbol of that. Having said that, I mean, they're speaking about players who are going to be tested for corona every third day. And when we see a lot of the population of this world are not able to be tested at all because it's too expensive, it's too hard to organize. Football should watch out that we don't take ourselves out of the society. What about the ambulance? What about the security? What about the NHS people of Germany? Are they supposed to be in stadium instead of saving the grandmothers or the grandfathers? So I think this is a moral kind of question. But I think that the main thing for football is that we could be the symbol of a society functioning again. And 9th of May, it sounds optimistic, but like you're saying, the Germans, I know there are talks that we don't know so much about between the governments and the German Bundesliga. And then we'll have to see if the football is solidarity, if they have that solidarity. I spoke to a Bundesliga coach yesterday, and he said to me, but Jan, this and that club, and I won't say the name of that club, they are training 11 against 11. They are playing friendlies. We are doing 5 and 5 and 5. So we'll just have to see now the next coming weeks how far this solidarity will go.
Just the fact that they've been allowed to train again in a way or another, having groups of 3, groups of 4, like you said, maybe some do 11v11. Even the fact that they were allowed to do that shows that prior to that, they've been all very disciplined to keep that pandemic as low as it could compared to other countries in Europe or even in the US where things have got really out of hands. And the way they're preparing this is obviously very efficient, very German, very disciplined. Even for referees, they were saying we can test them before the game, after the game. They might even have a protection for their face during the game, that kind of stuff. They've thought about it very, very quickly compared to even the Premier League where it's a complete mess.
I think for us Norwegians and for the Germans, I mean, the time that we even discuss football now with death tolls in UK and USA, it just shows you how far this has gone. But like you were saying, the Germans are good organized, but they're not too organized. So they will say that it's a moral thing that Angela Merkel will say, I know your grandmother maybe die tomorrow with lack of doctors, but we will send those kind of doctors into the stadium to take care of some paid footballers. So I think it's always this balance. There's always this balance that we have. Somehow the society gonna go start all over again, and I guess football could be based on all the requirements from instructions from our governments. We have to start somehow again.
one point I wanted to make, obviously, if it comes back, it's going to be behind closed doors. It's going to be, effectively a big TV show. This is my own personal view. If they can get it all done by June 30th, and that seems to be Germany's or Seifert's plan to finish by June 30th, then it's not going to be an issue. Once you go past June 30th, and I'm wondering, particularly for the smaller clubs, yeah, they'll get this TV money, but they won't get gate receipts because obviously there's nobody there. If I'm a mid-table Bundesliga team with nothing to play for, do I really want to go past June 30th and then have to take on another month's wages, maybe more? Because obviously FIFA have said that, they're not going to stand in the way if people want to extend contracts beyond June 30th, but it's still a big expense. And this is an issue that we have in England too, right? People say we have to finish the season even if it's July and August. Yeah, I know, but if I'm a mid-table club and I'm not getting money in from gate receipts and I get very little money from television, and now you're telling me, oh, these 10 dudes whose contracts were expiring or who are going to go back to their parent clubs, now I got to keep paying them as well to play in these matches which are freaking irrelevant in front of empty stadiums. Does that make sense?
Well, I think that the best analyze now is that nobody has an idea what will happen. I think that is the main thing. And I think football, Germany, and then later English football, and then UEFA and FIFA, who tend to think that they decide anything in football, which they don't. They can talk about throw-ins, how you do throw-ins, but we know that the big clubs and the big leagues and the TV companies will kind of pressure them to say, and we saw that with different decisions. But I think that we don't know. I think that the wise decision was to say that the 1920 season will be finished before we start the 2021 season. I think that is a good start. Okay, so we have that. Do I think that football without a crowd is good entertainment? No, it's boring. But I think if it starts again, we will still think that is the most fantastic football we've ever seen, because we are so hungry after seeing live football. I mean, people are betting and talking about the football in Belarus at the moment. So I think that we'll see that. But you have a good point. I think the consequences of this, with new transfer windows, contracts that are expiring, TV money that are in waiting, I don't think we can have an opinion on that, but I don't think we've seen the consequences. How good will the leagues have a cooperation with the kind of the players' organization? I don't think the players will know either. The big players and the big name players, they won't have a problem because they will be in demand. But I mean, the average player, they could fear that they will be out contract, will be out jobs, that squads of 30 could go down to 20, and the big clubs from 40 on loan. So I don't think we know the consequences. What we have learned, and I agree on that, is that I was a very happy and proud national player for Norway. But at the moment, no, we just have to wait a bit for the national games, because the qualification we can do in the autumn. But so I think that the DNA of football is the league. So we have to find a way to end who is the champion, who will be relegated, who will go into Europe, and so on. I think we have to find a way. But do I know the solution? No, I have no idea.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.